Hello, and welcome to Gamers Table, a podcast discussion of tabletop role-playing games, war games, movies, books, and various other game-related topics. Be warned, this show contains some explicit material that may not be suitable for all audiences.
Welcome to Gamers Table. My name is Eric.
This is Mike.
This is Dan.
This is Jason.
And I'm Sean.
This episode we're going to talk about dragons, the probably most iconic...
Mike, don't look surprised. It's your topic.
I didn't think we'd get to it so soon.
Obviously, Mike doesn't check his text.
No, I don't think so.
Memo. He texts that to everybody.
You seriously didn't get it?
I'd like a review of the tape.
Yeah.
And Mike, you can talk. You're on mic. You don't have to just very quietly, animatedly shake your head no.
His stunning gesture.
Yes, we are going to talk. This is Mike's topic, and that's probably why he's so shocked. We're going to talk about dragons, probably the most iconic role-playing game creature there is.
I would agree.
Whenever Mike sent whenever you sent out the topic, the first thing I thought of is that the dragons equal fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of where these things started. Is that what you were thinking of, Mike, whenever you brought up the topic?
Yeah, I think they cross over many genres easily.
Yeah, agreed.
Everyone knows what a dragon looks like, so it's real easy to just adapt.
A dragon or a dragon-like creature.
Right.
Sure.
But in role-playing games, the dragons have kind of gone through an evolution. You know, if you think about like old school, like Dungeons and Dragons, whatnot, when you ran into a dragon, it was a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, as things have gone on, especially in Dungeons and Dragons, they wanted to make, they're going to nerf some of the dragons so that way you can encounter them sooner and things like that. And it almost takes away that feel, that weighty feel of, oh my gosh, that's a dragon.
That's why I don't really care for D&D dragons anymore.
It was the boss fight.
It should
you kill the dragon, you win.
It should be the boss
over.
Yeah,
fight.
it should be a boss fight.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course, you know, you do one dragon boss fight. Now all of a sudden you're fighting multiple dragons. Things like that.
It's kind of sad that dragons for a while became passé.
Yeah, very much so passé.
Yeah.
And then of course, then you move on to other genres or games, and the dragons kind of get that feeling back.
My favorite dragon in role-playing games of all time is not a D&D dragon. It is a Shadowrun dragon, and his name is Dunkelzahn.
Dunkelzahn, who ran for president.
Lofweir.
Well, Lofweir's also a dragon, a German dragon, who runs Seder Krupp, which is a
Hesteby.
Hesteby is also a...
It's a Shadowrun dragon.
feathered servant.
Yeah, the new game Skyrim, they're based on, all on dragons now.
And they're gorgeous.
And they are
just
gorgeous. Awesome.
Yeah. I think that Skyrim, lends to that myth as well.
The dragon is the boss fight in that most.
Yeah, well, you'll
definitely.
encounter a lot of dragons, and I've been playing it for can't even count how many hours now, and I've already killed 3 or 4 dragons.
And you probably haven't even scratched the surface of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I did want to bring up is whenever D&D specifically started using dragon types rather than dragons themselves, then that kind of saturated the...
Okay. To answer your question, because I was thinking about this, it's like, when did dragons jump the shark?
Yeah,
and I think it was, and I don't remember what edition, but I think it was advanced when they came out with that you are a dragon source book or campaign.
You're talking
setting.
about the Council of Worms.
I think that's kind of whenever
I bought that.
Yeah. So when a dragon becomes a playable race is when...
Well, and I didn't
Wouldn't
even
that
so
have
much...
actually been Dragonlance? It wasn't Dragonlance?
Dragonlance had the Draconians, which were like humanoid...
dragonkin?
Yeah, like dragonkin.
But that was the first
That was
instance where you could truly play a dragon.
Well, yeah.
PC, right?
Well, yes. The Draconians were intended to be the bad guys.
Right.
You know, in Dragonlance, the Draconians were they took the place of the orcs, because there were no orcs in Dragonlance. It was Draconian.
It was all dragons all the time.
And Minotaurs.
Well, Minotaurs were also a playable race. So I think once it became like, oh, well, you can play a dragon.
Well, because that was the same time as Player's Option.
No, I think that was...
Council of Worms was before Player's
Was
Option.
it?
Yeah.
Well, because that was kind of the beginning of dragons aren't really that bad anymore.
Right.
I think dragons kind of became too easy to defeat. Maybe that was Player's Option problem, or they just kind of changed them. Because
there was always the ages of dragons, even in AD&D, it determined how tough they were. But even as I recall, even the younger dragons were pretty tough.
Well, maybe the beginning of the end for dragons being the really bad character that you were going to have to fight was not Player's Option, but the handbooks, where you could actually tailor make a
when
character.
tweaking really
when you
started
could
to
start
come into
prestiging your character.
Yeah.
to tailor make them do fight
What were they
dragons.
called back then? They were kits back then.
Kits and
yes, character kits.
Right.
Right. So you could tweak your guy. So essentially, the more you're saying, the more options you had to manipulate your character creation and specialize your character towards fighting dragons,
Right.
the less prestigious the dragon fight became.
Well, I think players just kind of became too powerful, and they didn't make the monsters, powerful enough to, players were closing the gap too quick. I think because to me, a dragon should be, and my all-time favorite fantasy dragon at all are the dragons from Record of Lodoss War, which I know you have watched, Eric.
Right.
I watched it too.
Yeah, you did, yeah, that's right. I lent you those.
I watched
Where
it.
the dragons are like larger than 747s. They're these gigantic beasts
Right.
that could just take, could level an entire city.
And that's what I imagine when I think of a Dragonlance.
Me too.
Right.
Or not Dragonlance, a Shadowrun dragon.
Whenever somebody
Yeah.
says, it's a dragon, the first thing that pops in your mind is Smog. Is the
Right.
big dragon in the Dragonheart, not some little 5-foot dragon, that's, I'm first level, so I can't deal with a big dragon. Rather than make it so you have to run away from a fight, they weakened the dragons so that way you could fight them.
More like the baby dragons on Dragon Slayer.
Right.
Yeah.
Easily slain.
That always kind of made me sad.
Yeah, I agree.
They had an almost Muppetish looking face to them.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
They're just trying to eat their virgin.
I know.
My
They already
balls.
chewed off like one of her legs.
Yeah, one of her feet was gone. I remember that. That was nasty.
Had a real fake bone sticking out.
I love that movie, though. I love that movie.
No,
Talking about dragons in popular culture, though, that dragon is a larger than life dragon. Its babies, of course, were easily killed, but it was not.
Sure.
So I think that in movies, that dragon they got it right. I can't think of any other movies or anything like Dragonheart. And
Dragonheart was
Rain of Fire.
totally rocking.
an
Rain of
abomination.
Fire.
I know I'm totally in the minority on this. I'm one of the few people who actually liked and enjoyed Rain of Fire.
I loved
I
Rain
like
of
Rain
Fire.
of
What are you
Fire.
talking about?
Yay! I'm amongst good people. But I thought they did the dragons in that movie right. They looked
Yeah.
really good for CGI dragons.
And they were deadly.
And they were ass beaters.
I thought McConaughey deserved an Oscar for that movie.
You just thought he was hot. To be honest.
Did he
Yes.
keep his shirt on?
Yes, in that movie.
No, he did not.
In that movie, McConaughey was hot.
Majority of the
Wait a
time.
minute. In that movie, I'm thinking all he had was he didn't own a
Flak vest.
shirt. It was only a flak
He
vest.
has a flak vest, and he was scruffy, and he chewed on a cigar like through the whole movie.
And it was a flak vest with no buttons or zipper.
That's
It
right.
was just open.
Well, it's because
You want your
He'd ripped it open.
and flappability.
he'd
with your
ripped it
flap vest.
open too many times. It just popped off. But no, that was a really good cast. It's a total tangent. A bunch of guys kind of before they became the actors they are today, because it had
Christian
Bale,
Bale.
it had Gerard Butler, and the other guy whose name is escaping me right now.
Gerard Butler was in that, man.
Yes,
I don't remember that at
Gerard
all.
Butler was in that, and I can't.
It's like every man's man.
They were, really very man's manish. Now that I think about it, but no, I thought the dragons in that were really well done. They
I
were
have
big.
never seen
and
this movie.
It's worth it. I
What?
think. For the
Kidding me?
dragons.
Are you serious?
I've never seen Rain of
Hey,
Fire.
What kind of nerd are you?
Rent it. I mean, you might not like it. Rent it.
Dude, if you like this last Conan movie, you're going to wish you'd gone to the show and you'd petitioned it to win an Oscar or something.
It's
Okay.
good.
And like I say, it's definitely heralded as a not good movie.
What? Who says that?
Lots of people. Lots of people.
What's Rotten Tomatoes say?
Well, if you want to believe them, I'm sure it's probably like a 2%.
Okay, Mike, you haven't said
No, I was
nary
going
a
to say
word.
Rain of Fire is a dragon apocalypse. That's
Yes.
a movie where
I love it.
dragons pretty much wasted the entire planet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of dragon overkill.
He's running around in an Abram.
Yes.
So
Hey, if there was a dragon apocalypse, wouldn't you want to be in an Abrams?
yeah,
I would.
It's fireproof.
Well, I mean, yeah. Dragon apocalypse porn,
Right. Which you don't see a whole lot of.
No, you don't see enough of. Well, I think they did justice to how bad dragons should be in fantasy, I think.
Right.
Maybe that's why I liked it as much as I did.
I think a glut of dragons is kind of a problem. I know back in 3rd edition, Paizo Publishing, when they were doing Dragon and Dungeon Magazine, they had a moratorium on submissions for modules that included half-dragons or any kind of dragon-based race, because they had done so much of it that people were getting tired of it, or at least the editors were getting tired of it.
Well, and I agree, because to me, a dragon should be very rare. To me, you should only ever encounter a dragon once in your entire life, if that.
And I'm going to take
because
that a step further.
there should be few, and they should be asleep most of the time.
And I think they should be nigh unkillable by, think about this, something gigantic and a little man.
Yeah.
I just personally don't think that they should be defeatable, unless you yourself are riding a trained dragon.
Right.
I don't have a problem with encountering gobs of wyverns or some other dragon-like creature, but a true dragon should be rare, and I agree with Dan, should be nigh unstoppable, and it should only be disturbed when you make the mistake of walking into his cave or wherever he's hiding. And I agree that probably, when did AD&D or D&D come out with the chromatic dragons and the metallic dragons?
Well, yeah, that's
all the
something
different
right from the
varieties?
beginning. I
Yeah.
believe.
Has it been that way since the
And I'm
beginning?
wondering if they did that because, instead of just having one type of dragon to fight, and then, it's the same old thing. They wanted to mix things up, which I can understand. But the good dragons and, I never really understood.
See, I have no problem with the concept of a good dragon because
don't
they're
either.
sentient. They're hyper intelligent. If you want to run them as hyper intelligent creatures, if you want to run them as a dumb creature, then they're just bound by whatever normal.
I agree.
Well, there are plenty of
animal
mythological
nature.
examples of good dragons. Not all dragons.
Falcor.
Falcor.
Yes.
Wasn't Falcor a dog?
He was a luck dragon.
Dragon.
Okay.
Luck dragons look like dogs.
Like a dog.
I love Falcor. Shut
yeah.
up.
I wish Matt was here to do that. Matt does that the best.
Oh, dear.
When we think of dragons, though, we generally think of Western, like a European dragon.
Yes.
Right.
Whereas, there are Eastern dragons. We never really think about
I'm sure
those.
Mark just now, had he been here, would have said no. He thinks of Eastern or Asian dragons primarily.
Well, gold dragons in D&D are Eastern dragons.
Serpent type, right?
I think they're supposed to be. I don't know if they still are.
In D&D, a gold dragon is supposed to be
in first edition.
an Eastern dragon?
Yeah.
Well, by the art.
Really?
Artist interpretation is always going to vary, I guess, but
Maybe the old school ones, because the newer ones seemed like more regular
Yeah.
Western dragons.
Western
I think
dragons,
so.
yeah.
But, when you think about the different cultures, that have like legends and things like that, the Eastern dragons, they generally weren't evil.
They were good. Yeah, they were.
Not or just not
Neutral.
good or evil. They just kind of were. They were a part of.
And weren't they kind of like deities?
I think I'm not exactly certain, but
I don't know.
But they could have been. That's something else that you had to deal with if like you were dealing with Oni and other demons and things like that. You also dealt with dragons.
See, my understanding of Eastern dragons was that dragons were good luck, that they were symbols of luck, they were symbols of benevolence, that dragons, the Eastern philosophy, or the Eastern view of a dragon is totally different than the Western.
Are you
view of a
basing this on Trouble in Little China?
Yes. Yes, that's where I always go to.
That's where I
Anything with
Egg Shin. Anything with Egg Shin.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a great flick. Love that movie.
I totally agree.
I totally love it.
It's you file that under a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
At least I do.
Yeah.
Well, that just goes to show dragons can fit into any genre or culture or whatever.
And that they've been around for a
a
very, very long time.
So, the concept now of science fiction or science fiction / fantasies like Shadowrun, and you have dragons. Dragons in Shadowrun. Are you going to mess with a dragon in Shadowrun?
No, the reputation of a dragon in Shadowrun is one that you wouldn't even consider attacking a dragon. I don't recall ever doing
I believe the title is Never Deal with a Dragon.
Right, because the dragon's always got, if he's dealing with you, chances are he's already manipulated it, so he's going to control you anyway.
Right.
I think
The world is a game of chess.
Spigoli dealt with a dragon once, but it was brief.
Spigoli.
I think we've treated dragons in Shadowrun differently, though, because they have a whole system behind them, like corporations and
they
everything.
have that human manifestation front about them.
Yes.
So when you're dealing with them, you're dealing with much more than just the dragon itself. Whereas if it were D&D, you just go right up to his lair and take him on.
I remember reading like a dragon, like a fiction in Dragon, where it was like gold dragons manifested into like a person, and they were doing things, and you didn't really find out until the reveal at the end that it was a dragon that was doing this, because that's something I think D&D has gone completely away from, was the machinations of the dragons, plotting against each other and things like that. Machinations, I should say. Of them plotting against each other and things like that, that they really don't go into that very much.
Well, I think because they just kind of decided to get away from dragons in general, because, you have all manner of super powerful creatures now to